Now I'm working with Atlas with the saddle pad. I've moved the around the round pen, and I want to add in some movement with the pad. We're just going to be increasing how long we can walk with it and stuff like that. So I want him to target it. I'm going to go ahead, pop it on, reinforce him, and then we'll start walking around a little bit. And in the previous videos, you saw me building up the amount of time he can have it on his back. That was very important. He needs to be able to keep it on his back for an extended amount of time and then be totally cool with me pulling it off of him and it falling and not being a big deal. So it's important that I make sure that I account for how long it's going to take me to like feed him because that's what worried him before. So can the pad be on for 10, 20 seconds? Can I feed him with it on? And then when I go ahead and walk with him, I got to make sure that I'm not extending that time longer. So right now I'm just going ahead and keeping it on him for a while and then taking it off. And we're just kind of reviewing a little bit and then we'll add in some motion here. But I don't want to increase the duration in too big of a step because that's just going to scare him. I should, though, be letting him target it each time so that he has like a little start button. So he's going to touch it and then I'll put it on his back so I don't just put it on his back whenever he's kind of got that cue. So that's an important part of it. So I'll reinforce him for standing still with it on. That looked very nice. And then I'll ask him to go forward. Probably should have taken it off and then like had him redo it so it's not on for a super long time, but we just start with a step or two and that was fantastic. I'll reinforce him, pull it off. Perfect. And I also am working on a little bit of the desensitizing for when the pad comes off because the pad's going to hit the poles, it's going to hit the cones, it's going to make some noise, and I want to make sure that he's totally cool with that as well. So that's really important. I don't want it to fly off, and he's terrified of that. So I kind of hold on to the little straps there. That works really good. So I can kind of help it out, help it fall so it's not making too much noise, but I can kind of direct it where I want it to be as well. And I'm also reinforcing him for a good response when it does fall off. And so all that preparation work that we've been doing is paying off here. So I want to break it all up into small pieces so that he's ready for each spot. And some days he's not ready. Some days, like we've been working on something and then he backtracks and he's afraid of it for whatever reason. And that's okay. I can go ahead and go back to those steps that we worked on before and then build back up. Specifically with Atlas, we have to do that sometimes, probably more often than the other horses, just because he is more sensitive and fearful. But that is just part of the training. It's not linear, it's not in a straight line. We don't do this and this and this. It's we do this and then he does good at it, and we do that, and then he does good at it, and then oh, he might not be as good, so we go back to this. So it's kind of up and down, building progress the whole way, just little bits at a time. So I ask him to walk on. I probably should have had my target as well. That would have been made things a little bit more clear for him, but he's doing well. Going ahead and taking a few steps, I'm clicking while it's on and then going ahead pulling it off and then clicking again for it falling on the ground. And he seems pretty relaxed with this. Nothing crazy. I'm going to go back to kind of our starting place and then I'm going to put it on the other side of him. So same kind of thing. Especially again, just like with the mounting in the beginning, I want to go ahead, put it on him from both sides. I want it to fall off of both sides and I really want to work on it from the left and the right side. I don't want to just work on it from the left side. We get really stuck in that, specifically with horses and that. I don't want to only be able to mount him from the left side or saddle him from the left side. It's very important, specifically in the beginning, that I do it from both sides. Later on, yeah, I'm going to tack him up from the left side. I'm probably going to get on from the left side. I might get off sometimes from the right side, but it's not going to be like this. But in the beginning, I want to make sure that if I were to ever need to or ask him to, like I might tack him up from the right side because then I can skip a step. I can just put my girth on right there. So that's a possibility. I'm not super graceful as far as getting on from the right side, but there's always a possibility that I could if for whatever reason. So I just want him to know that having the pad on is great. Walking with the pad on is great. The pad might get on from either side. It might fall off of him from either side, and none of that is a big deal. And it's all reinforced quite heavily. So same thing on the other side though. I'm not going to go ahead and be like, oh, well, he took 3 steps on going to the left. It doesn't matter anymore. Now he's going to the right. So I'm going to start off with 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, and we'll build it up from there. The whole time I want to really pay attention to his body language. What does he look like? Does he seem worried about anything? How's his body? Does his body feel tight? Is he twitching or anything when I put the pad on? All things that I need to pay attention to. I also want to make sure that I'm reinforcing him for standing still. I don't want him just getting in the habit of going, going, going. I don't want him to think as soon as the pad goes on, he must walk. That can definitely become a habit really quickly, specifically with this exercise. Atlas isn't a super forward horse, so I don't have to balance him out quite as much, but like Castor would really do that quite a bit, and I created bad habits for myself by doing that. So just being specific and mindful of that, like, okay, well, I can put it on and I can reinforce them for just staying still. Those are really important. So I don't want the pad to become a cue for going forward because that can happen on accident. So I put it on, I reinforced him for just staying still with it. I'm going to reinforce him again for just standing still with it, and then we'll go ahead and ask him to go forward. Perfect. So just increase the amount of steps that he can take with it on, pull it off. Fantastic. And now he's to the point where I'm just kind of tossing the pad up on his back and he's not super concerned about it. So all of this looks great. Just kind of toss it up there. And I kind of have it set a little bit forward, like above his withers, because I want it to stay away from his hind legs just in case he got scared and ran and wanted to kick out at the pad or something. And then I can grab onto that little Velcro strap that's on the pad and kind of yank it off if I need to. So that's why it's placed up there, but obviously it's not going to be there forever. That's just what we're doing in the beginning. So same kind of thing. Take it, I can pull it off. He's cool with that. Put it back on. He's cool with that. He's totally willing to stand still. He listens to my go forward cues. So this is pretty good. And I want to make sure that he's confident going all the way around the round pen here because this side specifically, this is on the scary side. This is further away from the gate. His friend's the barn, and right now there's corn growing on there, so there's all kinds of scary things in the corn. So I want to make sure that he stays responsive and like connected and wants to participate even when he's on that scary side of the arena. And he seems totally cool with that. So those are just little things that I'm looking out for during the whole process.